Welcome to Fluffy Flowers, a librarian in the garden. Today we're in my sort of front garden and we're going to be reviewing the book Tough Plants for Southern Gardens, Low Care, No Care, Tried and True Winners by Felder Rushing. What I love about this book is Felder dedicates this book to the gardening women in his family. And I think that is pretty awesome, right? And that's a picture of his great-grandmother, Pearl Townsend Boyer. Green side up, annuals that endure, unbeatable bulbs, grasses with gumption, low-maintenance lawns, perennials that prevail, porch plants, steadfast shrubs, stout-hearted trees, vines with vigor, a lovely glossary, and a bibliography, photo credits, meet the author, and an index. What I like about Felder is he's real. He shows real gardens, he talks about real gardens and real plants. And I love that one of the first photos in the book is actually of a beautiful, gorgeous garden that surrounds a trailer. Mobile home, y'all, trailer. So he is just keeping it real. Some of the plants that are going to be in this book, some people might think are kind of invasive, but I like the fact that he kind of explains the criteria used for selecting the plants in this book, and I'm going to go over them with you real quick. He says all these plants possess strong values such as beauty, better flavor or fragrance, multiple season effects, and are heirlooms. They grow in ordinary soil with little or no watering or fertilizer. Sometimes I have people that come and visit my garden and they say, wow, this is a really beautiful garden. And I always have to remind them, some of the reason why it's so beautiful is because there's a lot of dead plants down there. I plant a lot of plants and they die, and their death feeds the soil for the next plant that I'm growing in there. So I totally agree with the whole grow in ordinary soil with little or no watering or fertilizer, because you have to be tough as nails to survive this garden here. Tolerate local climate and weather extremes, including heat, drought, rain, and sudden freezes. We got all that right here in Middle Georgia. Resist insect pests and diseases. Don't require the gardener to have a whole horticulture degree. These plants all but grow themselves. And are no fuss and easy to groom in the off season, and can be found at local garden centers or through mail order sources. I think that's really great that he is talking about this, because there's a lot of fancy plants out there, and sometimes you go to the store and you see that fancy plant and you suck in your breath and you think, oh my gosh, I gotta have that fancy plant. You buy that fancy plant, usually for at least 2 digits. You bring that fancy plant home, you plant it in the ground, and what happens in a short amount of time? Well, in my garden, a lot of times the fancy plants die. But the ones that are tough as nails, the ones that, my neighbor gave me some Siberian iris, and she just gave me a clump that she was digging out because she was dividing them. And I didn't really have time to plant them, y'all. So I just literally laid them on the ground in my garden. The next year they bloomed, and now they're a big old patch of Siberian iris that have the most beautiful blue flowers. I will try to give you a picture of those flowers and that plant in this video. Moving on. This is really a book that is a reference book. I like to refer to it sometimes if I'm trying to think of a plant for a particular area and I'm not sure what to do. So there's a lot of good information that he includes in here, but he also includes some suggestions for plants that are best for beginners, and then another list within that same section that is kind of tricky. All right, so there's different lists, and he explains what he recommends based on his years and years of experience. By the way, y'all, Felder rushing has been around in horticulture for many, many decades. He's written several books. He was county extension agent in Mississippi for a long, long time. He lives in Mississippi still, and he has a gardening radio show in Mississippi called the Gestalt Gardener. I love Felder. I've been listening to his show. I've been reading his books for years and years and years, and he has a lot of really good tips. And one of my favorite tips is about composting. Oh, excuse me. Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. Hello, kitty. Hello, kitty. Yeah, sorry. Kitty time. Hello, kitty. Can y'all hear those Tweety birds, by the way? It's springtime out here. And we also have a woody woodpecker somewhere up in a tall tree that is pecking away. Pecking away. Bye, kitty. Okay, now back to Felder's rules for composting. You know, there's a bunch of books that have been written on composting, details and details about composting. What I love about Felder is he says there's only 2 rules for composting. 1, stop throwing that stuff away, and 2, pile it up somewhere. Those are his two rules for composting. So I totally love that. Lots of times folks like to make out that composting is really, really complicated, but it's not. I swear to goodness it's not. All I do is what Felder says. I don't turn it. I don't fuss with it. I don't do anything. All I really do is make sure that it's there's a kitty cat right there, by the way, y'all. All I make sure is not to throw stuff away that's compostable, and also I try my very best to just leave it there. So that's what I kind of do. All right, gotta get back to work here, y'all. Gotta get back to work. Okay, where were we? Right here. I just want to show you some of the chapters and show you some of the things that he talks about in here. Under the annuals section, for example, he lists a lot of different kinds of annuals, not just the kind that are actually flowers, like pentas, for example, but he also lists things like okra. Okra is definitely an annual as well. He's also got a fast reference list for annuals. What I love about that is all kinds of different sections. Annuals that work well in the shade or semi-shade, for hot, dry spots, for poor, unimproved soils, plant in the fall or midwinter. Usually reseed themselves for years. Good annual for cut flowers, foliage, colorful foliage, easy edging, fast backgrounds or screens, and butterfly plants. So I think these lists that he includes are just fantastic. And I do really enjoy reading all the different kinds. He also has a section on unbeatable bulbs. Let's see. He's got all kinds in here that are truly great for the South. Crinums, cannas, daffodils. We just passed daffodil season here, or I would show y'all some daffodils. Maybe I can find a few pictures that I can show you. Elephant ears, chives, all kinds of really good stuff. And different kinds for different grape hyacinths. I've got a lot of those right now. I'm not sure if he has Spanish bluebells in here, but I swear to goodness they are so gorgeous. I will show you a picture of some Spanish bluebells that I have in my garden right now. There's just a lot. Oh yeah, he does actually. Yeah, he does actually mention, he calls them wood hyacinths or Spanish bluebells. Yes, mine are doing fantastic right now, y'all. Seriously. There's a little kitty cat down there. grasses with gumption. I love my grasses, but I have a small yard, so I don't have very many of them, but I do like some of the ones that he recommends. Low maintenance lawns. Perennials that prevail. In the perennials, he's got some of the ones that are really good. Aspidistra, I think I mentioned in another video, or cast iron plant. Aspidistra, cast iron plant. We talked about that yesterday. It's really great for dense shade, dry shade. We're always looking for something that will go for dry shade, right, y'all? He talks about the flower, the plant, interesting kinds, soil, propagation, and tips. There's lots of really good ones in here. Daylilies, they're going to be coming on in another month or so. Lenten rose, which are the hellebores. Hellebores, Lenten rose. Yep, I've got lots of those. Mexican petunias, oh my goodness graciousness. Those do great in my back garden, and I will definitely show them to you. Yarrow. Here's another good perennial, yarrow. I have some yarrow, y'all, that has been blooming since, I don't think it stopped blooming this entire winter. We had a really mild winter. We had a lot of rain, and we only really froze really hard below, like in the 20s a few times. So my yarrow was blooming most of the winter, and I will show you a picture of it. Porch plants. Asparagus fern. I have an asparagus fern, but I have the fancy kind. I have the Foxtail asparagus fern, and I absolutely love that plant. I baby that plant all the time. Covered it up when it got, you know, in the 20s here over the winter, and it lives in the shade in a beautiful pot. I will do my best to show you a picture of it. It is, I think it might be the plant that I would rescue if the place was burning down, so I absolutely love it. What else does he talk about? Oh yeah, steadfast shrubs. I'm not really sure why. Oh, abelia. Yes, I got a funny story to tell you about abelia. I'm kind of in love with abelia at the moment. Abelia, I had an abelia shrub that started getting a little bit big in my back garden. So I decided I wanted to dig it up and put it on the back fence because, well, actually I found another abelia shrub, but a different variety that I loved a lot. So I dug up one abelia shrub, I planted it on the back fence, and then I planted a different abelia shrub in that same hole. So, well, I moved it over about 6 inches. So, I will show you some pictures of those. I think you will like them. Rose of Sharon, excuse me. Rose of Sharon. I'm not sure why he's got the arborvitae in this section, but I definitely have some in my back garden. Azaleas, yes, absolutely. They do really well here. I don't have to do anything, and they come up. Camellias, yes, all those things. Oh, flowering quince. Flowering quince is absolutely stunning at this time of year in the spring here in Middle Georgia, and I have one that I love. I am going to try to show you a picture if I can. It's just beautiful. Forsythia has already bloomed out. It bloomed out, I think maybe a month ago already. It bloomed really, really early this year. It truly did. Nandina, I do have a Nandina hedge in the backyard, so that's a really easy shrub. Pyracantha. I kind of like Pyracantha. You know, it's the one with all those berries on it. I really do love it. I don't have one, but I've always wanted one. all kinds of shrubs. Trees, stout-hearted trees. I think we have some that are in here. There's all kinds. I love trees, but I have such a small garden, so it's a little bit of a struggle for me. Of course, I have crepe myrtles because they are classic southern trees. I have a lot of them. I have to keep them limbed up pretty well. They often get branches that are crossing, but I spent a long time last fall trying to cut them. I don't crepe myrtle them. I don't cut them off at their shoulders and make them grow back. I leave them as trees. I just thin out branches that are rubbing or growing on top of each other. Oh my gosh, here's a tree that I actually do want. The Grancy Graybeard is a beautiful tree. That's on my list. And the lilac chase tree, Vitex, oh my goodness graciousness. That is definitely another one that I would love. I have the redbud tree. I have a weeping redbud in my back garden. I will do my best to show you a picture of that because I don't know why they call it redbud tree because all the buds are purple. But anyway, it's got some beautiful purple buds on there and I think you will like it a lot. Just to show you a little bit of humor that Felder tends to have, he absolutely does have a sense of humor because one of his favorite trees is the bottle tree. And I do mean bottles, y'all. I do mean bottles. I mean bottles. He really, really, really enjoys bottle trees. And on his website, I think there's something about bottle trees on there. So you might want to. So I'll try to link that in the show notes because it's really, really funny. In case you want to know what Felder looks like, there he is. There is Felder. I highly recommend this book, y'all. Tough Plants for Southern Gardens, Low Care, No Care, Tried and True Winners by Felder Rushing. I think you would enjoy it very much, especially if you live in the South. This is a book for you. And there's my kitty cat. Hello, kitty. Oops, I don't know if he's happy. Hello, kitty. See you next time, y'all. Bye.